There's word Republicans in Congress will take another crack at repealing and replacing Obamacare. Their effort went down in flames last month because they couldn't get enough Republican votes in the Republican-controlled House. I spoke with Congressman Vern Buchanan about his take on the new health care plan and what's happening when it comes to rising tensions with North Korea.
I think it's 50-50. My guess is that we might not get there, but I really can't say. I'll know a lot more when I get up there this coming Tuesday when I'm back in town and get a chance to discuss it. I know there's some discussion about negotiation ongoing. I know the president wants to get it done. They've just got to find common ground to get to 216 votes. And I think whether it's a week or two or a month, I think within the month window there should be a chance to get it done. That would be my best guess.
You know, your top goal ever since I've been in town has been tax reform. But the question becomes, how do you even do tax reform, let alone do it by August, which was your goal, until you do health care reform? Because in order to fund tax cuts, the conventional wisdom is that you would use the savings from health care.
Well, we would, if we can't get something done, we would move to tax reform. The cuts wouldn't be what they are, but we do have $1 trillion in tax loopholes. If we can close a lot of those, if not most of them, we can get some cuts. They're talking about border adjustability tax. If that was to pass, there would be some additional revenue there. They're talking about doing away with interest deduction other than real estate. There'd be $1 trillion probably there. So they're looking at various options. And in terms of the health care, if they get that done, that's additional money. So we're looking at 43% tax cuts for corporations and pass-through entities, small business, I should say. But if we don't get any of these things done, then that number becomes a different number considerably.
Whatever happens, does it have to be deficit neutral, meaning that you would not add to the budget deficit by having tax cuts?
Well, it needs to be revenue neutral. I mean, at the end of the day, but they have a concept, as you're probably aware of, dynamic scoring. If we can move the economy from growing from 1% to 3%, add additional revenues into the Treasury, that'll be something considered based on the policy of certain tax reform.
What impact, if any, did your town hall and the town halls that you're seeing your colleagues endure have on your approach to health care? Because there are people out there who honestly believe that Obamacare is helping them. I think the polls kind of show that more than half of all Americans or people who are on it support Obamacare, and they're concerned when there's discussion about taking away pre-existing conditions or children staying on their parents' plan, or one proposal which was taking away the minimum coverage offerings.
Well, in our area, we have 236,000 to start off on Medicare, so it doesn't affect them at all. You get 150, 160 million people on their employers' health care. Doesn't affect them at all, really, other than maybe reducing the mandates on small business. So you're talking about the ACA, or the Affordable Care Act, is 4% of the population. The idea is to try to work with them, and some of the things that have been put in place, like pre-existing conditions, some of those different things, 26, is to try to incorporate that going forward. My biggest concern, frankly, is I want to make sure that between 50 and 65, they get the proper support. And then in terms of Medicaid, which is another 4% of the population, is make sure that the poor get taken care of. So those are two big factors, but most people get their insurance through their employer or through the government.
Let me finally get your take on North Korea. It seems that tensions are rising there. I'm wondering what your concern is about where we are now in terms of the rhetoric coming out of both sides.
I've been to Korea 2 or 3 times the last 4 or 5 years. We've got a lot of capability. I'm more concerned, frankly, with Russia and China. North Korea, I think we can deal with them aggressively. And we've got capability in Japan and in Asia. So I feel like there's been a lot of rhetoric, but I think it's something we can clearly deal with. I'm more concerned, when we start talking about some of the bigger countries if we have a challenge there at some point in the future.
But the Vice President said this week, the era of strategic patience is over. If you take that literally, it seems like the administration wants something resolved, so every time that you hear talk about a missile test, that the world's not freaking out.
Well, I think he's a negotiator, a deal maker. I think he's pretty tough on the front end. Hopefully we can put something together, but I think we're going to work through the Korea thing.